The crystal lights in the hall scattered soft colors across the room as Anna watched her daughter Grace practice her vows. At 25, Grace looked like a dream, brown hair pinned neatly, soft green eyes glowing with excitement. But Anna sensed something was wrong. Across the room stood Tom, the fiancé whose smile always felt too perfect. He leaned close, whispered something to Grace, and she giggled before glancing toward Anna coldly. Moments later, Tom walked over with a polite grin. "Mrs. Collins, can we speak in private?" he asked. Anna followed him slowly, her heels echoing on the polished floor. Inside the quiet library, the smell of old books filled the air. Tom closed the door, and the polite smile fell from his face instantly. "Let's talk honestly," he said, straightening his tie. "Tomorrow is the wedding, and Grace and I want a fresh start, alone." Anna frowned. "Alone? From what?" Tom poured himself a drink. "From you. After tomorrow, we want you out of our lives." Anna's breath caught. "Grace said that." Tom smirked. "Her idea. She's too gentle to say it herself, but I'm not." His words cut deeper than any blade. Anna's hands shook, but her voice stayed steady. "What if I refuse?" she asked quietly. Tom shrugged like it was nothing. "Then Grace chooses, and trust me, she won't choose you." He finished his drink and walked out without looking back. The door clicked shut, leaving Anna alone in heavy silence. She stared at her reflection in the dark window. 52 years old, widowed, and now being pushed out of her daughter's life. She steadied her breath. "You want me gone," she whispered. "Fine. But not your way." She left the library with a new plan forming. At 3 a.m., Anna sat in her kitchen staring at the deed to her lake house, the one she had planned to give Grace as a wedding gift. Grace had shown it off proudly for months, calling it our forever home. What she didn't know was that the house was still in Anna's name alone. Anna opened her laptop and typed a message to her real estate agent. "List the lake house immediately. Price it for a fast sale." One click erased Tom's dreams and rewrote the future. The house she bought with her husband's insurance money was no longer theirs. Then Anna made quiet calls, to the caterer, the florist, the reception coordinator. "I need a white envelope placed at every seat," she said. "I'll bring them in the morning." When they asked what was inside, she only smiled. A personal gift. By sunrise, she had filled 67 envelopes with everything she'd uncovered about Tom. Fraud, fake business deals, money he'd taken from people who trusted him. Grace's envelope held something different, proof that the lake house had already been sold. Anna stacked the envelopes neatly and whispered, "You wanted me gone, Tom. But first, everyone will see who you really are." The morning of the wedding arrived bright and cold. Anna reached the venue early, carrying a box filled with the white envelopes. The caterer, Mrs. Lewis, met her at the back entrance. "Anna, what on earth is in this box?" she asked, squinting at its weight. Anna smiled calmly. "Just something important for the guests." Mrs. Lewis shook her head but took the box. "One envelope at each seat," Anna reminded. As Anna walked inside, she checked her phone. 3 offers on the lake house already. "Good," she whispered. "Let the truth come before the vows." Anna sat in the salon beside Grace and the bridesmaids as they prepared for the ceremony. The room buzzed with laughter and excitement. Grace wore a white silk robe, her eyes shining. "Mom, are you excited?" she asked while the makeup artist brushed color onto her cheeks. Anna forced a tender smile. "I'm happy you're happy," she replied. Grace sighed nervously. "I just hope nothing goes wrong today." Anna squeezed her hand. "Sometimes things fall apart to protect us from bigger disasters." Grace laughed. "Mom, you're so dramatic today." Anna only whispered, "You have no idea." At 4 p.m., Grace walked down the aisle on her uncle's arm, her long lace veil trailing behind her. Anna sat in the front row, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Tom stood at the altar wearing a confident smile, the same smile he'd used in the library. The minister began speaking, but Anna barely heard the words. When the moment came to object, she stayed silent. The truth would speak louder than any interruption. After the kiss, Grace waved at Anna lovingly. Anna waved back, her smile trembling. She knew these were the last seconds before Grace's world shattered. During cocktail hour, guests filled the terrace, laughing and sipping wine. The view of the lake stretched behind them, Anna's now-sold lake house sitting quietly in the distance. "Beautiful ceremony," relatives said as they approached her. Anna nodded politely, keeping her eyes on the reception hall where the envelopes were waiting. At 6:30, guests moved to their seats. The MC lifted his microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, the bride's mother invites everyone to open the small envelope placed at your seat." Anna folded her hands and waited. 67 envelopes opened at once, and silence spread like wildfire. The first gasp came from table 2, then another from table 5. Soon the room was filled with whispers, shocked faces, and trembling hands holding documents. Tom noticed immediately. His smile faded as he turned in confusion. "What is this?" he muttered. Grace looked around, startled. "Why does everyone look upset?" she asked. A tall man from Tom's college group walked over, waving his paper. "Tom, you owe me $10,000 from that fake business you pitched," he shouted. Another guest stood. "And you owe me 6. More voices followed. Grace stared at Tom in disbelief. The truth had finally begun its work. Grace turned to Tom, her face pale. "Tom, what are they talking about?" she whispered. Tom raised his hands helplessly. "Grace, they're lying. Someone is trying to ruin our wedding." But the guests kept coming, one after another, holding the papers Anna had prepared. A woman from table 6 stepped forward. "Tom promised me a photography business. He took $7,000 from me." Grace's eyes widened. "What business?" she cried. Tom glared at Anna. "You did this," he hissed. Anna calmly lifted her glass. "I only shared the truth, Tom. The rest is yours." The room erupted with angry voices. Grace stumbled back into her seat, shaking. "Mom, what's happening?" she whispered. Anna reached into her purse and pulled out a folded paper. "Sweetheart, this is for you." Grace opened it slowly. The real estate listing stared back at her. "Sold. Cash offer. New owners move in Monday." "You sold the lake house," she gasped. Tom grabbed her wrist. "Grace, don't listen to her. Let's go. Now." But Grace pulled her hand away. "Tom, why do you owe all these people money? What have you been hiding from me?" Before Tom could lie again, Judge Miller, an elderly man at table 9, stood up. His voice echoed across the room. "Young man, your father's law firm removed your access 18 months ago for stealing client funds." Gasps filled the hall. Tom turned red. "That's not true," he shouted. Judge Miller held up his envelope. "It's here in black and white. You're a fraud." Grace covered her mouth with shaking hands. Tom tried to step backward, but angry guests formed a circle around him. The mask he'd worn for so long finally cracked. Police officers entered the hall after being called by multiple guests. They approached Tom cautiously. "Sir, we need to ask you some questions about financial fraud and theft." Tom pointed at Anna desperately. "This is a setup. She wants to destroy me." Anna remained seated, calm and steady. "No, Tom," she said quietly. "You destroyed yourself." Grace looked at her mother with tears gathering in her eyes. How long have you known?" Anna sighed softly. 6 months, sweetheart. I tried to warn you. But you weren't ready to hear it." As Tom argued with the police, Grace turned fully toward her mother. "Mom," she whispered, "did he really tell you I wanted you gone?" Anna nodded slowly. "Yes, he said it was your idea. He wanted me out of your life so he could control everything. Your money, your decisions, your future." Grace's voice cracked. "Mom, I would never say that. Never." Anna squeezed her daughter's hand gently. "I know. But last night I believed him. And I broke a little inside." Grace began to cry silently, shaken to her core by the betrayal. Tom suddenly snapped. He tried to push past the guests toward the exit. "I'm leaving," he shouted. But Detective Harris stepped in front of him. "No, you're not." Tom turned wild-eyed. "You can't arrest me on my wedding day." "Actually, we can," the detective replied. "And we will." As the officers cuffed him, Tom yelled across the room, "Grace, don't let her turn you against me. I did all of this for us." Grace's expression hardened for the first time that day. "No, Tom. You did it for yourself." The reception hall emptied slowly, leaving half-eaten plates, spilled champagne, and abandoned flowers. Grace sat alone at the head table, staring at the engagement ring on her finger. Anna approached quietly and sat beside her. "Mom," Grace whispered, "I feel like my whole life just fell apart." Anna touched her shoulder gently. "Sweetheart, your life didn't fall apart. It was saved." Grace breathed shakily. "I don't know what to do. Where do I even go now?" Anna smiled softly. "You come home. Your room is still there. You can start again." Later that evening, they sat in the empty hall sharing a bottle of untouched wedding champagne. Grace wiped her eyes. "Mom, how much money did I give him?" Anna took a slow breath. "About $38,000 over the past 8 months. Grace gasped and covered her face. "Oh my God." Anna pulled her close. "It's okay. You're safe now. Money can be replaced." "You cannot," Grace whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you." Anna kissed her forehead gently. "Love makes us blind sometimes. But you see clearly now." When they finally went outside, the night was cold and quiet. Grace hugged herself, trembling. "Mom, when did I stop being me?" Anna thought for a long moment. Maybe when he made you give up your promotion. Or when he convinced you to distance yourself from your friends. Or when you stopped calling me. Grace looked down, ashamed. "He always said I was too close to you. That you were holding me back." Anna smiled sadly. "Darling, real love never isolates you. It builds you, not breaks you." Grace nodded slowly, realizing the truth. Back at home, Grace showered and put on her old pajamas, the ones she'd worn before Tom entered her life. She looked younger, freer, almost like her old self. Sitting at the kitchen table with warm tea, she asked softly, "Mom, what happens next?" Anna smiled gently. "You rebuild. You heal. And one day you'll love again. But this time you'll choose better because you understand the signs." Grace reached across the table and held her mother's hand. "Thank you for not giving up on me." Anna squeezed back. "I never will, Grace. Never." The next morning, Grace woke to the sound of her phone vibrating non-stop. Friends, co-workers, and cousins all wanted to know if the shocking wedding stories online were true. "Mom, people already posted videos," she said, scrolling with wide eyes. Anna sat beside her calmly. "People will talk, Grace. They always do. But you don't owe anyone an explanation." Grace nodded slowly. "I just don't want to relive yesterday." Anna placed a warm hand on her shoulder. "You won't. Yesterday was the end. Today is the beginning." Grace exhaled shakily. "I hope you're right." Later that morning, a firm knock came at the door. When Anna opened it, she saw Daniel Price, the private investigator she'd hired 6 months earlier. He held a serious expression and a folder tucked under his arm. "Mrs. Collins," Daniel greeted. "I have new information you need to see." Grace peeked from the living room, confused. "Mom, who is that?" Anna motioned her forward. "Grace, this is Daniel. He's the one who helped uncover Tom's lies." Grace swallowed hard. "There's more." Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes. And you both need to hear it." At the kitchen table, Daniel spread several photos and documents. "Tom wasn't working alone," he explained. "He's part of a pair. 2 men working together across different states." Anna frowned deeply. "A pair?" Daniel pointed to a picture of a tall man with dark hair. His partner is named Kyle Reed. He targets young women from wealthy families while Tom targets their mothers. They've been doing this for years. Grace stared at the photo, horrified. So another girl is being tricked right now? Daniel nodded. Yes. And her name is Emily Brooks. Daniel pulled out a social media printout showing Emily smiling beside Kyle at a restaurant. Emily thinks Kyle is her perfect boyfriend, he continued. But Kyle is already planning to go after her mother's money. Anna clenched her jaw. Does Emily's mother know? Mrs. Brooks has no idea, Daniel replied. Grace whispered. We have to warn them. Daniel nodded. That's what I hoped you'd say. But we must be careful. If we move too fast, Kyle will disappear and reappear somewhere else with new names. Anna took a deep breath. Then we'll move smart. Grace studied Emily's photos longer, shaken. She looks so happy, she whispered. How can he lie to her like that? Daniel sighed. Predators don't think about feelings. They think about access. Anna stood up with quiet determination. Then we need to protect them. No family should go through what we did. Grace looked at her mother, strong, steady, unwavering. Mom, are you sure you want to get involved again? Anna nodded firmly. Grace, someone helped us. Now it's our turn. Daniel smiled slightly. I knew you'd say that. They arranged a meeting with Mrs. Brooks that afternoon. She welcomed them politely but looked confused as they sat down in her living room. You said it was urgent, she said, glancing at Anna. What is this about? Anna exchanged a look with Daniel. It's about your daughter Emily and the man she's dating. Mrs. Brooks laughed lightly. Kyle. He's wonderful. Daniel opened a folder slowly. Ma'am, Kyle Reed isn't who he says he is. He's been involved in several financial schemes targeting families like yours. Mrs. Brooks froze. That's impossible. Daniel showed her the documents. Fake business names, fake addresses, past victims, and a photo of Kyle with another woman from a previous scam. Mrs. Brooks' hands began to shake. Oh dear God. Emily will be crushed. Anna leaned forward gently. We know. But better crushed now than destroyed later. Mrs. Brooks covered her mouth. What do we do? How do we tell her? Grace spoke quietly. We don't tell her. We let her see it herself. Daniel nodded. Exactly. Tomorrow night, invite Kyle for dinner. We'll expose him with carefully planned questions. Mrs. Brooks hesitated. This feels risky. Daniel reassured her. We'll be nearby. We'll record everything. The moment he lies, Emily will see the truth. Anna placed a comforting hand on the mother's arm. You're not alone. We'll guide you through all of it. Mrs. Brooks sighed shakily. Okay. I trust you. Grace watched the woman carefully. She saw the same trembling fear she'd seen in herself after Tom's betrayal. Grace whispered softly. I wish someone had warned me earlier. Anna reached over and squeezed her hand. We're doing that now for her. When they returned home, Grace sat in silence for a long time. Finally she spoke. Mom, I keep thinking about everything Tom told me. Every lie I believed. Every warning I ignored. Anna sat beside her gently. Grace, don't punish yourself. Manipulators make good people doubt their own instincts. Grace wiped her eyes. Do you think Emily will believe it? Anna sighed softly. I think she will cry. She will break. But then she will understand. Grace whispered. Just like me. Anna nodded. Yes, sweetheart. Just like you. But she will not break alone. That night, Grace curled up on the couch with a blanket. She looked exhausted but stronger than she had in days. Mom, she said softly. What if Emily still chooses him? What if she can't walk away? Anna thought for a moment. Then we stay close. We protect her mother. We document everything. We keep pushing until the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Grace nodded. I want to help her. I don't want anyone to feel as lost as I did. Anna smiled proudly. Then tomorrow we fight for Emily together. The next evening came faster than anyone expected. Mrs. Brooks had prepared a simple dinner: roast chicken, salad, and warm bread. But her hands shook every time she set a plate down. Anna and Grace arrived early to help set up the cameras Daniel had provided. "These will catch every lie," Daniel said quietly as he tested the hidden recorder behind a vase. Mrs. Brooks exhaled shakily. "I hope Emily forgives me." Anna touched her arm gently. "You're saving her, not betraying her." Grace nodded. "She'll understand, even if it hurts at first." Mrs. Brooks whispered, "Lord, help us tonight." Emily arrived minutes later, dressed beautifully with excitement written all over her face. "Mom, what's with the fancy dinner?" she laughed, hugging her mother. Then she saw Anna and Grace. "Oh, I didn't know we had guests." Grace forced a small smile. "We're just here to help set things up." Emily looked puzzled but didn't question further. Moments later the doorbell rang. "That must be Kyle," Emily said happily, smoothing her hair. Mrs. Brooks swallowed hard. "Yes, let him in." Grace watched the door nervously as Emily opened it with a bright smile. Kyle stepped inside confidently, unaware of the storm waiting. "Good evening, Mrs. Brooks," Kyle said warmly, handing her flowers. "For your lovely home." Mrs. Brooks forced a polite smile. "Thank you, Kyle. Come in." Kyle glanced briefly at Anna and Grace but seemed unbothered. As they sat at the dining table, Kyle began talking about his successful business ventures. "We've expanded our financial services across 3 states, he boasted. Anna folded her arms. "That sounds impressive. What city is your main office in again?" Kyle smiled confidently. "San Diego." Daniel, listening from the next room through the audio feed, whispered, "Lie number 1. Mrs. Brooks leaned forward with a sweet smile. "Kyle, remind me, where did you say you went to college?" Kyle didn't hesitate. "Harvard. Business Administration." Grace exchanged a glance with Anna. They already knew Kyle's real education ended with community college. "Harvard?" Anna asked softly. "Do you remember Professor Lawson? My cousin took his class around the same time." Kyle blinked. "Ah yes, Lawson. Great professor." But his voice wavered, just enough for Emily to notice. She frowned slightly, confused. "Kyle, you never mentioned a Professor Lawson to me," she said quietly. Trying to recover, Kyle laughed. "I didn't want to bore you with old stories." But Mrs. Brooks wasn't done. "And where did you work before starting your business?" Kyle answered quickly, "Reed and Parker Investments." Daniel almost choked from the other room. That company had closed 8 years ago after a fraud investigation. Anna leaned in. "That firm shut down years ago." Kyle froze, then tried to smile. "Different branch, maybe." Emily looked at him, her eyes narrowing. "Kyle, are you sure?" Kyle forced another smile. "Of course, sweetheart. I'd never lie to you." The room grew painfully quiet. Emily looked from her mother to Anna to Grace, sensing something was terribly wrong. "What's going on?" she asked softly. Before anyone could answer, Daniel entered with a calm but firm expression. "Emily, my name is Daniel Price. I'm a licensed investigator. We need to talk about Kyle." Emily's eyes widened. "Investigator? For what?" Kyle shot up from his chair. "This is harassment. Emily, don't listen to them. They're trying to turn you against me." Daniel opened a folder and placed documents gently on the table. "Kyle Reed is not who he says he is." Emily stared at the documents. Records of scams, stolen money, fake businesses, and photos of Kyle with another woman. Her face drained of color. "Kyle, what is this?" she whispered. Kyle reached for her hand. "Baby, listen to me. All of that is old. It has nothing to do with us." Emily pulled her hand away sharply. "You told me you worked in investments. You told me you graduated from Harvard. You told me you loved me." Kyle clenched his jaw. "I do love you." Emily shook her head. Real love doesn't start with lies. Suddenly Kyle grabbed Emily's wrist. Come on, we're leaving. Right now. Emily tried to pull free. Let me go. Anna stood up instantly. Kyle, that's enough. Daniel moved between them. Step back, he warned. Kyle's face twisted with anger. You think you can stop me? But before he could try anything foolish, 2 officers, who had been waiting outside on standby, entered the room. Kyle Reed, one said firmly. You're under arrest for fraud and financial manipulation across multiple states. Kyle's expression changed from anger to panic. Emily, wait. Let me explain. Emily backed away with tears streaming down her face. Explain what? That you planned to marry me so you could steal from my mother. That everything you said was a lie. Kyle struggled as officers cuffed him. Emily, please. I was going to change this time. Emily shook her head slowly, heartbreak and clarity in her eyes. No. You were going to ruin me. Mrs. Brooks rushed to her daughter and held her tightly. Emily collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing. Grace stepped forward quietly, placing a hand on her back. It's okay, she whispered. You're safe now. When Kyle was taken out the front door, the room finally fell silent. Emily sat trembling, gripping her mother's arm. I can't believe it, she whispered. I thought he was the one. Anna knelt beside her gently. I know how it feels. But this pain is temporary. What he could have done to your life, that would have lasted forever. Emily wiped her tears. Why would someone do this? Why target people like us? Daniel exhaled. Because they think families with money won't question love. But tonight you proved them wrong. Grace nodded softly. And you didn't face it alone.